say goodbye. She said, yes, sweet papa, if you can stand to see me cry, Lord, you don't know my mind. But when you see me laughing, honey, laughing just to keep from crying. Oh, now, Sam, now. I got a handful of nickels, got a pocket full of dimes, got a house full of young'uns, ain't that one mine? Lord, you don't know my mind. Yeah, when you see me laughing, I'm laughing just to keep from crying.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Where'd the old town go? They moved it all north of here in the shopping mall.
Good morning and welcome to Old Town Cleveland here on WOOP FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.woopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. And Deb, tell us about our show and our guest today.
I'm feeling kind of lonesome this morning, Ron.
Oh, no.
And that would be because our guest has not shown up yet. But maybe they'll come along here in a minute. And
it's 10 o'clock Eastern time, isn't it?
It's Eastern time. We're waiting on, hopefully, Bob White's arrival here this morning, and we're going to be talking about the downtown area. And if that doesn't come to be, we'll talk about
Bob White.
Or whatever you folks want to talk about.
Well, first I want to say I understand that Bad Actor may be sick.
Oh, well, I hate to hear that.
I don't know if he's still in the hospital or not, but Bad Actor, if you're listening, give us an update and a report.
And Bad Actor, I'll tell you, Ron's been playing you some good bluegrass music this morning.
And I played The Ride for him. That's one of his favorite songs, so I played that in your honor this morning. And I also would like to say thank you to David Cook. Had
a great time last night.
He put on his own little fireworks spectacular last night out on his little farm area out there, and down in the lower end of the county. And my goodness, it went on for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and he took some seriousness thought into this. He has become. They're going to hire him to do New York next year, I believe.
It was the Boston Pop.
It was about that big. So,
I will tell you, it was quite the display. And on a beautiful old farm with some old buildings there. Of course, I got out of the car and was checking out the bricks on the building.
And of course, for the finale, me and C.L. Cook, David's dad, John and David's dad, we sang God Bless America. And
there were 4 generations of the Cook family there last night.
Sure
and we sure appreciate them inviting us over.
And our granddaughter Avery enjoyed none of it. Every time the fireworks would go off, she'd put her head down and cover it up because she was trying to sleep. To heck with this noise and this flashing. So Avery probably got up at 6 o'clock this morning and wore Dustin and Avery out for making her stay out late. Or Ashley, excuse me. So today we're going to be talking about the downtown area there. We're going to talk a little bit about Sturchie's. Sturchie's was a downtown store. Now Sturchie's moved out of downtown. A lot of you may remember it after it moved out of downtown. But downtown, if you knew where Hoskins Drugstore, not or Dooley's Drugstore, And then, you know, where C.J. Wilson's store was, Sturkey's was right there in between those, if I'm not mistaken. And they, the Sturkey's family actually started their chain up in Knoxville. You don't have to say something. I'm going to sneeze here in just a second. So if you see me bend over.
Oh, bless you.
There we're back. Okay. The Sturkey's family at one time had the largest chain of furniture stores in America, and based out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And they're two brothers, the Sturkey brothers. And I don't know a lot about them, but there's a lot of big products, talking about started here in Tennessee that people know. JFG Coffee is out of Knoxville. Miniature Golf was started down in Chattanooga. There's Moon Pie, of course, RC Cola. Cat Napper Chair started right here in Cleveland, Tennessee. And then, of course, Hardwick Clothes at one time was one of the largest manufacturing of men's clothing in America. And
I've been reading a lot about Hardwicks lately. That's a fascinating business.
Tennessee has a lot of proud heritage here, and then, of course, a lot of downtown. If you remember the downtown area, of course, the Spot was downtown. You had Draper and Darwin's.
You had Merchants Bank one time that was on the east side of McCoy Street, and then they built a new building there, and for the first time in decades, that building, I believe, is... parts of it's empty anyway. There's not a bank there anymore.
SunTrust has closed their downtown branch, and so I understand that bottom floor is still. I think the top floor is still rented out to some attorneys and in that area. But that was the Arts Hotel there at one time, wasn't it?
I know it was the Ocoee Hotel,
and
then Bob Green's restaurant was there, and our the church. We've got an insect in here.
Yeah,
he's not going to be an insect long if he gets close enough to me. The Catholic Church started there in the early 60s.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Early 1960s.
And, of course, if you'll remember the downtown, a subject that's a sore subject with me, at least, and most people, is that we used to have this beautiful old Victorian-style courthouse. I guess you had some
I believe that was
archway.
Our third courthouse.
And we didn't. The other one's burned. This one was torn down on purpose. What, the other one's burned?
No, the first one was a log structure, and then the second one was something like. Let me get this call, Ron. You go ahead.
Okay, so Deb's gonna go ahead. Like I say, I hope everybody had a safe 4th yesterday. If you're out wanting something to do up in Copper Hill today, I think they've got a parade and maybe starting here shortly, and they've got Miners Days up there, and I believe they have a miners reunion and different things. If you haven't been up to see the Ducktown Basin Museum, it's a great little museum to tell you all about the Ducktown Basin. It's interesting that there in Ducktown, there was 3 to 6 foot of earth was lost during the mining process over from 1850 through about the 1960s when they started the restoration. So unbelievable story up there. So if you've not been up to Copper Hill, good time to visit. Drive up that way today. And
I hate to show my ignorance about that, and I've been up there a whole bunch of times. And the other day I went, oh, I'm at the Burr Burr mine site. I really didn't realize.
Where the museum is?
Where the museum is.
Yeah, that's the Burr Burr mine.
Well, I mean, I realized that big hole is the Burr Burr mine.
Well, part of the Burr Burr mine.
You know how sometimes you just don't think deep enough. And so I was standing there the other day, and then I thought, wow, this is amazing. Everybody should come see this. But they're doing some restoration up there, which means that they're trying really hard they're trying really hard to make it look like it once looked. There was once a clear ball field there because there was no vegetation.
Well, yeah, they're
not trying
to get rid of the vegetation, but they have. Now, this is the first time they've done this in a long, long time in the basin. They've cut down trees.
Yeah, they've cut down trees while I'm trying to record video.
Yeah, they're doing that so they can clear a vision between the museum and the old railroad bridge and thing. That used to be plains. And
so for generations, there was no vegetation between the main road and the top of the hill where the Burr Burr Mine Museum is. And that will be the same same now, except it'll be a green space. But that's really a nice addition. It's just the chainsaws have kind of interrupted our recording. We've recorded 2 whole days now. We're going to record one more day, and then we'll be finished with that adventure.
That part of it for now, at least. Yes. Okay. We're going to be talking about downtown Cleveland today, talking about some of the stores. We're at Sturchie's. If you ever shopped at Sturchie's, give us a call. I know a lot of people, they sell jewelry and furniture.
Reverend Omar Plank worked there. He repaired the clocks and the watches.
Right.
And I had a question about him I'm hoping somebody can answer. I wanted to know where he lived in town.
Don't know. And then, of course, Abel's. Of course, the bank was there on the corner. Cleveland National at that time. It was down there. Of course, Cooper's Bookstores, a long-standing Draper Darwin's,
C.J. Wilson,
C.J. Wilson's,
Frederick's, Formal Aware.
Well, that was Lay's.
Cato's, Lay's.
Lay's 5 and 10. Of course, you could smell the popcorn for blocks.
Harshberger and Stratton.
And I got my marbles downstairs.
Appler's Shoe Store. Billy Graham worked there once.
Oh, Billy Graham worked at Appler's Shoe Store?
Yes.
Well, see, you learned something new on Old Town Cleveland. Although it's old, it's new.
All over again. But anyway, we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about today. I will tell you that, and I'm not going to tell you the vicinity yet, but got an exciting phone call the other night from a good friend of Old Town Cleveland and a big historian in the area that's clearing some land up on the north end of town, the northwestern end of town, and found a single marked grave from 1840 on his property, and I thought that was just really interesting.
So, a lot of interesting things out there, and just the Shelton family just come in. Blake Shelton come in a few minutes ago. Not the singer Blake Shelton, but the more famous one.
I did ask him for his autograph.
If somebody may know his brother Rocky or his dad Max, he come in and was talking about some silver. Good to see Blake come in, and he's getting active in doing genealogy and
doing the right thing. He asks for a little help, and then he goes out and works real hard and finds stuff, comes back and shares that and asks for a little bit more help and guidance. Debbie Riggs just sent me a picture of the second courthouse. Now, our first courthouse was just a log building. And then in 1840, they built a big structure that had a steeple on it and all that. I believe it stood probably to the 1880s or so, and that's when the courthouse that everybody remembers that had the archways doors on it. Those archway doors were supposed to look like the Missionary Ridge tunnel. It was built just about the same time or something like that.
Isn't there another one somewhere?
Paris Henry County's courthouse is still standing. Looks like our old one. We need to go take a picture of it. And I say that if we ever get that far from home again, it's like up in the north western corner of Tennessee. Someone's asking me here online about C.J. Wilson passing away. That was Dr. Robert Wilson that graduated from Bradley High School in 1972.
Robert Llewellyn Wilson.
And all of his close friends called him C.J., kind of as making fun of the C.J. Wilson store, because at that time it was just a really old-fashioned store. And Mr. C.J. Wilson would sit at the doorway, and I don't think he ever did any business, but he certainly did visit with everyone downtown, and he still was working in his upper 80s. And we do not know exactly what happened to C.J. We just know he passed, and there was a tree dedicated to him up on the Greenway last Saturday night by the class of 72.
Yes, like I say, he left and went to University of Tennessee and became a doctor, and went on out and worked in the California prison systems as a psychiatrist for nearly 40 years. So.
Yes, worked with the VA. Worked with that was just something that was near and dear to him.
All All right, we're gonna open the phones up here.
Yeah, open those phones up. Y'all talk to us today.
If you shopped around downtown, particularly if you went to Sturgis, call us and tell us about that. And of course, if you want to talk about eating at the Grand Lunch or
anything y'all want to talk
or
about
feeding
today.
popcorn to the rats at the Bohemia, all you gotta do is call us. You can call us here at 614-5553.
You know, every time I go in a theater and sit down in the darkness, I think about that. Well, we've got somebody calling.
Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning.
Hey,
morning.
Mr. Doug, how are you, my friend?
Well, I'm out of the hospital.
Hey, you have escaped custody, huh?
4 nights in the hospital bed is not very fun.
You have to be careful. Those health care facilities will kill you.
Yes, you're exactly right. But anyway, I'm doing better. I'm home. That's the good part. Nothing like being home.
Well, that's good to hear.
That's good.
We played the ride for you this morning.
Oh, I heard it. And Bullitt came up to see me, and the Honorable Charlie McKenzie and Honorable Randy Fox came up to see me. And the Honorable, well, I don't know if he's honorable, but that Mr. Jones came up to see me.
Oh.
Oh, well, I'm sure
Well, we didn't find out about you being in there till yesterday.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm home, and that's what's important. And it's a beautiful day, and if your guests ever show up, I'm going to enjoy the program. If they don't, I'll enjoy the program anyway.
Well, tell us about where you used to go downtown.
Spot.
The Spot. Well, and now, did you ever go across the street to Dooley's drugstore?
Across the road.
Yeah.
Jones would go across the road to Dooley's, and I'd go to the Spot, and then I'd go to Dooley's and get another hamburger.
Oh, that's good.
Here's something I did that not many people did in Cleveland. I had breakfast at the Spot. I would come home from college, get off a bus at the bus station. I'd walk up to the Spot and eat sausage and eggs and toast. I don't know what I paid, but it wasn't very much. And then I would walk all the way home out by M&M Mars where my parents lived. I run half of it. I couldn't do that to save my life now. I usually stop at Cleveland High, and I've sit in Cleveland High's gymnasium, which doesn't exist anymore, and watched the big guys coming after Randy Jarrett. They were angry. And Randy Jarrett would jump up and grab the basketball goal, and he'd climb up on top of it. And he'd sit up on the back of the backboard and stick his tongue out at all these big guys. And they had bad intentions. They were angry. And he didn't care. He laughed at them. None of those big guys could climb up there where little Randy got. I just thought that was amazing. I thought it was like a monkey in Africa and a tiger trying to get the monkey down. But I got a big kick out of that.
They couldn't outsmart him or catch him, huh?
No, Randy was so agile when he was young. He's still agile. I'll guarantee you, he's very agile at his age now. I think he's 63. He's one of the most agile people I've ever met in my life. I punched him one day a few years ago in the chest, like I was going to do something, and all I felt solid muscle. I mean, his body's just solid muscle. Anyway.
Hey, he would have won that state championship in wrestling if he hadn't got drunk.
Yeah, but he stayed sober. He's been a state champion.
We saw him the other day at Stadium, and to be a 4'0" size guy, he sure can eat.
Yeah, he's got a good appetite.
Well, Bad Actor, we're glad you're doing better, buddy.
Well, thank you, and I'll be listening to.
All righty, hang with us. All righty, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good to hear that Doug's out of the hospital, and of course, the hospital probably charged him $1 or $2 to be there.
Oh gosh.
Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Mr. Ron, how you doing?
Hey, Bullet.
I just wanted to talk about the courthouse a little bit.
Go ahead.
When I was a little boy growing up, my uncle used to play checkers in the bottom of the courthouse there, and he was considered the champion of checkers. His name was Chester Gorn, and I don't think anybody ever beat him.
That's amazing. Now it seems so hot and stuff to be outside, but I guess it's people didn't have air conditioning then, and you just didn't quite feel the heat like we do now.
Yeah, and you was talking. I heard you ask Bad Actor where you used to hang around. I used to hang out there. I used to hang out at Bob's Pool Room.
Yeah.
And I got pretty good at playing pool, but I couldn't play for money though. I'm just glad Bad Actor is doing good. I heard him a while ago, and he's one of the good old boys, and I'm just glad he's doing it. Ron, did you listen to Good Sports Thursday night?
No,
we were somewhere.
We were somewhere. I forgot where we were doing, but I didn't get to listen to it.
I'm going to tell you what I said about you. I said I like to enter a contest eating the soup and eat the most hot dogs.
Oh, well, you'd have a competition there now.
Well, Arnold and Tommy said I wouldn't have a chance. So
No.
So I'm gonna officially back out of that right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I'm gonna join you and Deb, and I'm over there and check your poo in a little bit, Deb.
Okay, well, now, I put a lock on the fence, but the key's right there. That's just to keep our grandbaby out, not to keep you out.
That's all right.
Thank you, dear. Bye-bye. Once the grandbaby discovers the pool, you have to lock her down tight.
That's right. Tommy Loftus, who's on Good Sports, his dad was with us out at the
Don
Loftus. Yeah, he was out with us last night at the the David Cook extravaganza. David's John's older brother. John likes me to say that.
That's not the truth. We can only tell the truth here on Old Town Cleveland.
Deb, did you ever get to eat the Grand Lunch? You was a country girl. Oh,
no.
Grand Lunch.
We only came to town on Friday evenings to buy groceries, and no, we
Go to
didn't
the
eat
pool
out.
room?
Well, my dad would go to was it Beecher's down at Five
Beecher's,
Points?
yeah.
He'd go in the back door at Beecher's and bring home a bag of hamburgers, and boy, were they good.
Yeah.
But now my mom wouldn't eat them because they came from the pool hall.
Well, or you circle around and get those bag of little Wallace Reimer burgers, the original little crystals, I call them.
I don't remember those until I was old enough to drive, but I do remember going into Vest and going into Wallace Reimer's, and I thought it was so cool that my dad would go back to the cooler and get out a cold watermelon, already
you can get
chilled.
your fresh South meat over there, too, couldn't you?
My dad made his own. Yeah, that was a nasty experience.
Never got into South meat, I have to admit.
That's one of those things I watched from a distance and did not eat it.
Now, but when you went down to Wooden's, not Wooden's, but the Grand Lunch, when you walked in.
Now, wait a minute, stop. Tell me where the Grand Lunch was.
You know where the Cleveland Police Department is now?
Yes.
Going down that street, that's first. Down where the glass company, right there on the right.
Like where 5.0's kind of at now?
Yeah, right in that area right there.
Okay,
And
I
think it's right where Bryant's Glass was there for a while. Maybe someone will tell me. I'm trying to picture in my head, things change so much, but it was right there.
It's your head that has changed, Ron.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, things down there changed too, but you'd walk in and you say, well, you wanted beans, corn, potato, meatloaf.
Right.
And it was on a plate. I mean, that fast. I think somebody had a hand, and they just grab it and threw it on your plate, probably a spoon. But, it was there, and, in the old Bill Smalling Jr., who used to work for me over at the cable company, talked about he'd go get a open steak sandwich, open face steak sandwich, and with the gravy and on it. It's good because he used to work down at the Princess Theater at that time, and he would walk down and get him something to eat right after that. So you can call us here at 614-5553. We're talking about downtown Cleveland.
Or anything else y'all want to talk
and
about.
if you're looking for if we're looking for Bob White, if you happen to see him, remind him he has a show at 10 o'clock this morning. And, this happens from time to time in our busy lives. I'm surprised
I thought yesterday was Saturday.
Yeah, I started to come yesterday, too, because I was going, today is Saturday because I'm not working. So it was confusing. So call us here at 614-5553 if you wherever you shopped at downtown. Sturgis, C.J. Wilson's, Lay's 5 and Dime, Cooper's Bookstore, Draper and Darwin, Appler's. How long has Stamper's Furniture been there?
80-something years.
So
Started out as a hardware store, I believe.
Oh, did it really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, of course, there's Ganaway's down the road down there. Ganaway was down on, down where the dry cleaners is there on First.
It's
yeah.
Spring.
And, of course, now I like to go into Ganaway because they had horse tack in there, and you could smell the leather and the thing that they was.
There's a nice little video. It's only a very short video of somebody in the early 60s there at Ganaway's, and you can actually, that looks like they're making something leather to me, but you can see the inside of the store.
I think Mitchell Gwynn may have that.
It's online.
Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron. I have a question.
Sure.
How long has the Whoop Radio radio, been on the air.
Now,
Look-
we've been on the air for 5 years, and I would say that in this location, it was here a year and a half before that, and then it was over at the old paint store here at the
Yeah,
village.
it started probably
2000?
Yeah, probably
2001?
about maybe 10 years, 12 years ago, and it was just a small station, which predominantly set as a bluegrass station. Is all it was at first. That's all they did.
Oh, okay. I never did listen to it. I just happened up on it one day when I was turning the stations, and
Well, it's just one of those things that people accidentally fall into it, or and then they get addicted, and it's like a bad drug, and they just get addicted to it.
It was like a wreck. You say, this is ridiculous, and I'm not listening anymore, and you just keep listening.
Some of the stuff.
you just got to get back in there and hear one more thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of the stuff's just not healthy for you.
I'm glad to hear that Doug's doing better.
Yeah.
I love to hear him get on the radio.
Well,
Yeah.
He I don't know what his problem was, but
He had heart surgery, I think.
oh, did he have heart surgery? Well, that's maybe he has a pacemaker.
On Fro the other day, they called him, and he got him good, though. He told them that he wanted to hear a song from Sid, and they said he got us even from the hospital bed.
Well, they should have just sent Sid up there, shouldn't they?
Yeah,
That'd been better.
let him go up there and play him once.
Yeah.
But he said he loved to hear Sid, so Sid called in and played him once.
Yeah, paybacks are.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you beat Bob Cash calling this morning.
Bob's probably drunk somewhere.
Well, I still like the morning
Probably.
that Bob was trying to sell a flag, and he called us and told us that on the air. Well, then we got somebody that wanted his number, and so I called Bob at 10:20 or 10:40 on a Saturday morning, and he was having to get everybody at the bar to be quiet so he could talk to me.
Oh, so he's already at the bar.
It was pretty funny.
I think Bob has
I
the
thought,
key to
boy, I
open the
wish-
door.
I thought, boy, I wish we'd called him on the air because that was way funny. I mean,
Yeah, that'd been good.
he's a good guy.
Yeah, I think he's funny. I like to hear him.
Well,
He's a
he's a
good
character.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Miss Reddy, are you growing a garden this year?
Just some tomatoes and pepper and cucumbers.
Well, the rain's got to help now that the sun's come out.
Well, my tomatoes are just now coming in. We've been eating cucumbers for a while.
I've been eating I've ate 2 or 3 tomatoes now.
Our cucumbers, I guess it's from the rain, got real fat and funny looking.
I think ours done pretty good.
Okay, well, we bought, pickling cucumbers, which should be the smaller ones that you grow a bunch of them, but that's not what we got. We got big ones.
The pickling cucumbers is the only kind I like to eat.
Yep.
Okay, well, we may have gotten the wrong plant. I don't know, but that's what it said on the marker.
Sometimes when you buy stuff, Debbie, when you're at a place buying plants, people will take the stickers and put in a different place,
Was that you?
and they mess you up like that. I've bought them like that before.
Yeah.
I bought something one day that I thought was radishes, and it turned out to be something else. I still don't know what it was.
Lettuce.
Oh, I've done that lots of times.
It was, and it kind of looked the right color and stuff, so I didn't think very much about it. And Ron got ready to harvest his radishes, and he pulled it up out of the ground, and it was a root. And I said, that's lettuce.
It was some weed lettuce, too, not that beb lettuce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you, my dear. Bye-bye. I don't think the world's quite ready for Red and Bob Cash to get together.
I don't know if Red's ready. So, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9. You can call us here at 614-5553. You can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com and join in on the chat. The chat that goes on in the chat room in there. If you've not done that before, all you got to do is sign up. And so we want to mention also that the dedication of the rededication of the monument was done this last Wednesday. We got a call coming here. Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, this is RD.
Hey, RD. Yep. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Bob called me about that flag.
Yeah.
I wish he hadn't kept that a secret. I'd have went down and had a Colin with him.
It was so funny because he's going, be quiet. Somebody give me an ink pen. I need to write something down. And I'm thinking, he's at the bar. It's 10-something on Saturday morning.
Hey, everybody needs a habit.
Hey,
That's right.
get
Or a hobby.
yeah, start early to avoid the rush.
There you go. No, he's a very nice man, but we had if you're listening, Bob, I still got your number. We've had a bit of a family crisis.
Sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that.
We're working our way through it, but I haven't had a chance to get back with him. But I've still got your number, Bob, if you're out there.
Okay.
He'll be out there.
All right, y'all take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you, RD.
You mentioned the woolen mills a few minutes ago. Larry Presswood, when he was on a few weeks ago, he said his mom worked at the woolen mills in the 1920s, worked 58 hours a week for $6.25 a week.
Wow.
And was happy to have it.
Yep, it was good. Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yeah, morning, Ron and Deb. It's Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hey,
go
Joe. I got tickled at Ron. He forgot who he was and where he was at. Go ahead.
Why are they tearing down them old buildings down there on at the end down there? You know where the direct station used to be?
I don't know where you are. Where the what station was?
I don't know, Coy Street, where Wooten's Restaurant used to be.
I guess just whoever owned those buildings just decided to do them. Wooten's Cafeteria, John G's Barbecue, Deb.
Oh, okay. I think, Joe, unfortunately, at some point in time, they just get old. And unfortunately, we have the problem of people breaking into them and the homeless trying to live in them, and it just becomes a big liability, and they take them down. Then, shortly thereafter, we go, oh, no, we've lost some more good buildings. And I was noticing the other day the little cab stands across the street from where John G's used to be are in real bad shape, and I thought what a wonderful thing that would be, you know, just if those could be restored and that lot cleared up.
Now, Joe, was that also a gas station across there?
Yeah, direct.
Direct, yeah.
Yeah, well, John G. had all this stuff.
Yeah, smokers and things. Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to be direct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would really like to see those to be refurbished.
Then another thing, too, disappointed me when they tore the old Woolworths down up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're trying to, you know, Lee University's kind of taking over those few blocks, and that's a good thing and that's a bad thing, as Johnny Graham would say, is that it keeps it from being impoverished looking, and our economy is greatly boosted by Lee University, although I don't think our tax base has helped much by it.
Well, you know, they've got the roadblock over on Church Street going up to the library.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't get up to there. You got to go all the way around.
I'm hoping that when they get that project finished, that's going to be an open road through there. Surely it will be.
Well, you know, they got some that closed up there, ain't they, on Church Street?
Right now, I don't know what they're going to do. Whether now when it goes on up and gets to the college, it's closed. Like it used to go all the way through there.
Well, you remember, like I say, where Direct was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember right behind it where them apartment house used to be?
Yeah, the big 2-story house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy that lived there. His name was, I don't remember his first name, but his last name was Chase. And he used to be one of them, what is it, walking sailors that sold that walking.
A walking,
Yeah.
like salves and all that stuff.
Yeah, uh-huh. Huh. Yeah, they used to, old man lived in there that done that.
Salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
was he just living in one of the apartments, or did he own that?
As far as I know, he just lived there. I don't know if he owned it. He might have owned it.
Had that always been apartments, or was that ever just a big old house?
As far back as I can remember, it's always been apartments.
Yeah. Was it a brick, and now they got some kind of like blue siding on it or something?
Yeah. It used to be a big old brick.
Wow. But, Joe, you're right. We have lost a lot of historic buildings in the last 20 years that, once you tear it down, you can't go back. And then you go through towns like Franklin that has had the progress, and they've intertwined it with the old buildings. And even when they build something new, they make it look old. And it just has a personality to it.
Yeah, what I can't understand is why they tore down the old courthouse. Why couldn't they found another place to build a new one and left the old one alone? And that would have been a big old thing for Cleveland. people would come around and
Yeah.
sure.
I think at that point in time, they were trying to attract businesses, like Bowater and Olin and all that here, and they were wanting it to. That was a time that everything was progressive. We were trying to go to the moon, and we were trying to do all kinds of stuff, and we thought it was progress to get rid of your old stuff. About the same time, there was 6 women in Savannah, Georgia, that after they tore down a few buildings said, no, we're not going to do this, and they saved all those buildings, and we all know how that story's turned out. I mean, it's the tourism there is incredible, and it's because we go see the old stuff.
I know a lot of places down in Georgia, for example, they build a new courthouse, but they save the old one, and it becomes a museum for the community.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like a Wable's Hardware over there.
Right.
I mean, they remodeled it and everything, but the building's still standing.
Oh, it's gorgeous, yeah. And, we've lost a building there, but we still saved the most of that block. Now, the Merchants Bank building, it was a brand new spanking building I guess, was that in the late 60s when they put it up? And
yes.
it kind of takes away from the character downtown.
Well, yeah, before they put that, what is that, SunTrust Bank in
Right.
business? That used to be where the old coffee cup used to be. Used to be a bar right behind it. I mean, you had bars all over Cleveland, downtown Cleveland. They had bars in there, in places like.
Oh, we always had saloons down there, even in the 1880s.
Well, I don't call them bars. I call them beer joints.
Yeah.
All right.
All righty. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joe.
Every now and then you'd find one that was like the sandwich shop. Well, everybody knew that the sandwich shop was a place that you go to. It was a watering hole.
Well, there's several places to drink down there. Penny's and down right at where the fire department is now. Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, Miss Ella.
This is Ella.
Well, so where are you at, Miss Ella?
I'm still in California, stuck.
Stuck in California, hey? Why are you stuck in California?
Well, I lost my debit card. Those green cards from Regions Bank.
Uh-huh.
And I had to have them to send me another one out. And they sent it back home, the first one, to Tennessee. So I had to call them, tell them to send me one up here. So I was supposed to get it today, and if I get it today, I'm getting the heck out of here. I hate it up here.
So you're going to get on the bus and head to Cleveland, hey?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well.
And the guys are still taking pictures.
Oh, no, not still.
Yeah. I don't know what they'll do when I get on the bus. I guess they'll get on the bus with me. Mark did one time.
Well, he probably will. You know how he is.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's doing that to you.
But you know what, Rod?
Uh-huh.
When I get back home, if he bugs me, I'm going to call his dad.
Uh-oh, not Tom.
Yes, I'm going to call his dad, and I'm going to tell him about Mark and make him stop bugging me. That's the only way it's going to stop. And then, if he goes back on the radio down there when he gets back, I am going to sit down there and bug the heck out of him, and he can't make me move because it doesn't belong. The village does not belong to the radio.
Oh, okay. Well, you just have at it.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to bug the heck out of him.
All right.
All right.
Well, he might be listening, Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Well, good luck, Miss Ella. We hope that you get your card and you get your green card and you get to come back to Tennessee.
Oh, yeah, because I can't get my medicine up here. I've been without my two or three of my medicines since June.
That's not good. All righty.
What? Is that medicine, that pokey beer?
No. It's my thyroids and my sugar medicine and my nerve medicine, and I really need my nerve medicine.
Yeah, I would. That sounds right. And you need a beer from Pokey's.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I will go there on my birthday. You better believe it.
So when is your birthday?
He better not bug me because I am not going to speak to him.
I don't blame you. Well, you're just going to have to quit having that lover's quarrel.
All right. Talk to you when I
All
get
righty, Miss Ella. Bye-bye, dear.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Woo. Miss
All the way
Ella
from-
has her nervous condition, and she needs to get back to Tennessee to get her medication.
Well, Mark would quit
Ron
following her.
Ron just doesn't know what to say over here. He's just grinning.
Mark would leave her alone there.
Here's
Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
This is me again. I'm going to say one more thing. I'll let you go.
Go ahead.
Did you and Deb ever go at the bowl night there at the village?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But now Ron plays pinball more than he bowled.
Oh, okay. But I used to go there when I worked at Matty Chef. We used to have a league there, and I bowled there. And I'll be honest with you, I wish they'd have kept it there because it's just handy, and I just miss it. And right there where you're at now, that's where I bought my first model airplane.
Yeah, this was the Hobby Lobby?
Yep.
Or Hobby Mart. Which one is it?
I think it was a Hobby Mart.
Hobby Mart. Ron always says it.
Mr. White.
Yeah, that's where I bought my first model airplane, and I flew it up there and crashed and tore it all to pieces. But, no, I just wanted to bring up about the bowling alley. I really miss it there, and I wish they'd have kept it. But things change. And,
Mr. White was always nice, and he always let the kids come in, and if you were real gentle with his stuff, you could look at, all the kits and the photography. And
Mrs. Link
worked here.
Yeah, it was his. Bullet. This was the cultural center of Cleveland at one time. The bowling alley and the mall here.
I'll tell you what, I remember a lot of things in there. Parks and Belts, Sears, and and my brother worked there at that. What we used to be the cafeteria there at the village. Wooten's? No, it wasn't Wooten's.
Cleveland.
The Village Cafe.
Village Cafe, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, my brother worked there for a while. And but it's things like I say. Deb knows I'm sentimental, but things go on. And but I just wish I'd have kept the bowling alley there, though.
Hey, Bullet, while I got you on the phone, I drove through the cemetery, and I could see a few more markers that had been pushed over and stuff, and I reported that to Janice Castile, and she is going to up the patrol of the city through there.
Yeah.
And that anybody, especially after dark, does not want to be there.
Well, they don't need to be there after.
No, they don't. And so there's going to be signs put up that says, a closing time, and then anybody that's caught in there after that's
subject to arrest.
Yes. So we'll take care of that. I think it's probably just teenagers in the neighborhood. So I say to those folks that live over in the neighborhood to talk to their kids and tell them, first of all, it's just not a nice thing to do, and second of all, they will be arrested.
And they could get hurt.
And they could get hurt, seriously, because those monuments, the monument that we just got repaired was over 6,000 pounds. And kids just don't, when they start pushing those tops off, don't realize that it goes whichever way it wants to go, and it'll land on top of them.
Well, some of them broke.
Okay.
Some of them. But anyway,
I hate that. Okay. Thank you, Bullet. Bye-bye. I've been getting reports over the last few weeks that we've had some vandalism at Fort Hill. I know that some a friend of ours had some out-of-town guests want to drive them through and show them the historic part of the cemetery, and was greatly concerned with the markers that had been damaged and broken and pushed over. Now, some of those have been pushed over for a long time. It's really hard to find anybody with the right equipment that knows what they're doing to set those things back up where they need to be set. So sometimes they just have to stay on the ground when they're pushed over.
If you have a broken one, of the things that might be recommended is just buy some type of plate or new stone and put it in the ground completely so it's flush so that the mowers won't hit it, and that way you save that grave, and then you also mark it thing and leave the original marker there. So
yeah,
just
unfortunately
a
we have so many markers that are just a little cemetery, the funeral home markers that, back in the day they used to type the letters into the metal and they would last until the mowers got them. But sometimes we find them and you can't read the writing on them, and the graves are just lost, and that's no way to be buried. But anyway, yes, there is damage, but Janice Castile told me that she would report it to the police department and the sign department, and it'll be they're going to take care of it. So we appreciate the city taking care of that. Some people always ask me about the cemetery. The north side of the Fort Hill Cemetery basically belongs to the city of Cleveland and Bradley County, and they pay for the mowing, which is in the tens of thousands of dollars every year. And they do have prisoners that do work up there. Everything from the crest of the hill south belongs to a private company. And they take care of the mowing and stuff there. this has been a really hard year to keep it mowed because it gets wet before we can get it mowed. But there's lots of beautiful flowers blooming up in the cemetery right now, and a lot of people ask about being buried up on the part that's nothing but a big grass lawn, and that's where a lot of Confederate soldiers and unknown people that were moved there from another cemetery are buried. And no, you can't be buried there. I'd like to be buried there too.
They've done it Draper and Darwin's in downtown Cleveland. I know my aunt and uncle worked there
for the Smith family.
For the Smith family towards the latter days of the Draper and Darwin, and they still wrap things in white butcher paper. Didn't
there
they?
was actually another Draper and Darwin there, which was down close to where Diamond Lills was, I believe, and for a long period of time, you could still see the tile work there at the front door that had the name written in it. I believe it was a Cato's. I may have my buildings mixed up, and if you work down there and you remember for sure, you call me and tell me. But down in there somewhere, there was the Davis shop, and there was a Draper and Darwin, and then Draper and Darwin was where Cafe Roma is now. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of things in that building. It was the Banner building. It was Nat and Pat's. It was the Ark building. It was a funeral home. McLean's Funeral Home was on the back side of it. Cafe Roma, Draper and Darwin. Just a lot of different things have been in that one spot.
If you have old signs from downtown Cleveland, at least take a picture of it and share it with people. Or I'm sure the museum would like to have some of these older signs, and at
least on loan.
Yeah.
Pendergrass's children's shop sign has shown up in recent days.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like it was in fairly good condition, but I understand it's being refurbished.
I don't remember that sign.
I did not shop there, but I think a lot of people did. I think I remember Tots to Teens, and I don't know if that was the same building or not, but I shopped there as an older teenager.
Now, was Bledsoe's down on the other end? Isn't that where Jamie Gregg worked?
Bledsoe's was where the travel agency used to be.
Yeah, right there.
The Cleveland National Bank.
Yeah.
No, the Merchants Bank original building.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we had a massive fire downtown, and that's how we lost that southern end of that block.
Well, then that was over where Lay's was.
This was before the Lay's fire, in the Lay's building, and it's just like the Hardwick building that was over there on Church Street, and once it burned, they took the top floor off because at that time it was kind of awkward to have a third store because you didn't have the elevators and such, and so they went to 2 stories.
Now, Cooper's Bookstore, that was originally a drugstore in there too, and it's Sturgis, or not Sturgis, but Sticklers or something. There was a Stikers. I can't remember the name of the family now. And where Diamond Lills was, what was in Diamond Lills before it was Diamond Lills? It's been several restaurants since then, but it was, I can't remember what that. That was part of the Opera House building, was it not?
Central Drug was right in there.
Okay, so that may have been Central Drug.
Central Drug was right in there somewhere. I don't know.
Where is everybody? Call me and tell me. They're all recovering from the fireworks last night. You know that. You can call us here at 614-5553. We're talking about downtown Cleveland, looking for Bob White.
I think that the first fireworks that I remember Ron seeing live and in person was always at the Village Center.
Yes.
And we would come, and they would have special sales here. And then after the fireworks, sometimes some of the stores stayed open, and they had spectacular 4th of July sales. Yeah. I remember those.
Well, the JC's always had an event called their barbecue then, too. They sold barbecued chicken and coleslaw and baked beans, and had a little carnival along the creek down there. And that's where one year we had Gene Bean, the human bomb, come in and blow himself up. Now
not once, but twice.
More Jim Bean, Gene Bean drunk. I think he blew himself up. He started out with a couple sticks of dynamite and 3 or 4 sticks, and he'd put flour by the dynamite, and the flour would go up about 40 feet in the air, and he'd flop around on the ground like he was dying, and it was drama. It was real entertainment. You don't get entertainment like that anymore.
I don't think the laws will allow it.
I don't see anybody blowing themselves up at all anymore. Probably for a good reason, too. Mm-hmm. So.
But, back in the day, when the Village was here and it was the center of the universe, I thought they had a lot of things. The grand opening at the Sears, Bob Brandy came, and we have a picture of that, and it looks like a, rock concert or something. People just standing, watching him play, and then we had, always had the 4th of July thing here, but someone, I think it was Mr. Rogers, that came on and did the Village Shopping Mall with us one time, brought in huge scrapbooks. Oh, yeah. And what it was the advertisements. They had saved all of the big ads for all the events early in the years of the Village Mall, and it was pretty amazing. They were always having Old Timers Day, and they'd have the fireworks day and Christmas. Of course, they always had Mr. and Mrs. Claus and all of that here, but they had something all the time, which is what good malls do. And you got to keep things stirred up and people coming back for different reasons. They had fashion shows and Easter egg hunts. I was told, I never came to it, but I was told that they would just dump hay out here in front of the village office building, and hide the Easter eggs in it and turn the kids loose. I thought that was hilarious.
They had go-kart races out on the...
Yeah, now that was at some point in time before they had the parking lot paved. On Sunday afternoons, they had go-kart races here, and we have pictures of aerial views that you can actually see the track.
Okay. Folks, we're talking about downtown Cleveland and talking about Cleveland. If you ever stayed in the Spec Hospital, we'd like for you to call. If you was born in the Spec Hospital, if you ever shopped at Sturkey's, you ever ate at the Spot, ever went to the Grand Lunch, or there's one, Amigo Days, when
Cisco Kid.
The Cisco Kid
and Diablo, his
came
horse,
to Cleveland and to celebrate Amigo Days, which was a event to do what? Do you know what it was for?
I do.
If anyone knows why they had Amigo Days, call us here at 614-5553. And who was it that told me? Was it Mr. Jones said that the Cisco Kid about killed himself? He was riding on a float, and he got to Inman, and on Ocoee and Inman, and the traffic light was lower than they expected, and
about knocked him off the
knocked
float.
him off the float for that. I
I'm
don't know
sure
if that's true or not.
I'm sure he remembered us too.
Yeah.
We've just had a lot of interesting things happen here in Cleveland.
Now, the Cisco's real name was Ronaldo Duncan, but that's not his real name. That's what his acting name was, Ronaldo Duncan. His real name was Duncan Ronaldo. He just reversed his name. So there's a bit of history that you're only going to hear on Old Town Cleveland when your guests don't show up. That's we're just having fun now. This is only about the second time that we've ever had this happen, isn't it?
Let's see. We had the Cherokee National Forest that didn't show, and Bob.
Well, and Lake Winnepesaukah people.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We said Lake Winnepesaukah, and the phone started ringing that day.
And it just there was confusion, and so nobody's blaming anybody.
Well, 9 times out of 10, we call somebody on Thursdays and remind them, but we were so busy.
Oh, that's Bob White calling you saying, "Hey, I'll be there in an hour." So if you've ever been in. If you remember the Amigo Days, check the phone. Oh, is it not working? Sometime this phone gets hung up and we do not know it.
Today is not a good day.
Now, call us at 614-5553. When the phone's not on, you don't know whether it's on or not. And
we don't. And somebody's always nice enough to call us or send us a message that, hey, we can't call him.
Here we go.
There we go.
Go ahead, call you live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello, Ron. This is Brenda.
Hey, Brenda. Have you been trying to call?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We were sitting here thinking, oh, no one loves us. There's no one listening anymore. But we're glad you're listening and you called in. What's up with you, sister?
Well, I was going to tell you that where Diamond Lil's was, that used to be Central Drug. And after Central Drug left down there, they cut it in and both sides. One was Diamond Lil's and the other one was something else, but that is where that it was.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting here and I don't have anything to look at, my brain starts playing tricks on me.
What was the family name of Central Drugs?
The family name?
Yeah, was
Or
it
who worked there that you remember?
Stigler's or Stackler? It was an S or something, wasn't it?
Dr. Stickley and Dr. Jones.
Stickley. Okay.
Yeah, that's what
I
he
was all
meant.
around it. Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Stickley was a character, and Mother, she just thought of him as another daddy. They got to be real close because she was there for so many years, and but he was a real character, and he would forget he was at work, and he had a tendency to say bad words. And right in front of the customers, he'd just be letting it fly. And she would remind him that he was at work. But anyway, also, let's see, there was another question you asked, and I was going to answer it, and I've done forgot. But anyway, two of my favorite places when I was a child. When I would be at the drugstore on Saturdays, Mother would give me some money, and I'd go to Cooper's bookstore, and they had penny candy of all kinds, and I'd fill up a bag of penny candy, and then I would walk down to Lay's and get me a big bag of popcorn, and I would go back to the drugstore and sit over in the fountain and eat my popcorn and my candy. But it just breaks my heart that a lot of the places from downtown are gone, and that there's not really a lot of places to shop down there.
No, there's not.
It's totally changed. You know, it's basically attorneys and different type of offices now.
Professional buildings, yeah.
Yeah, our downtown is a lot like other areas of Tennessee have the downtowns like Cleveland, but they still have their shopping down there. And it just breaks my heart that there's not places that you could go shopping, and you know, and well, I used to, when you would shop downtown, you'd see everybody in the world that you knew in the stores and going up and down the sidewalks, and I remember my grandfather, he swapped knives over at the courthouse.
You get arrested for having your knife out at the courthouse now.
You would. But I can remember all the old men, they would sit over there and whittle, and they'd swap knives, and they would sit over there and talk. He'd come to town with my grandmother, and she'd stay in town about all day, and he'd sit over there on the courthouse lawn.
Now, you had to have a knife to keep the snake handlers away, though, didn't you?
No.
Well, they didn't ever. I don't remember ever seeing any snakes up there. But I know. I know of one of the preachers that used to preach up there all the time, and me and my ex-husband used to go to his church sometimes. But not my ex-husband, my late husband. But anyway, my mind's getting so bad, I just say everything in the world. But anyway, it was just, I mean, there was everything in the world that you could do downtown, and you could walk through the park, you could get popcorn, and you could get candy, and just lots of things, you know. My grandmother always shopped on Saturdays, and she took us grandkids with her, and we would get to go to Lay's, and we would get to go to Cooper's, and a lot of the stores that children, you know, they had things for kids and good things to eat, and it's just but it's something that you can always remember and always you know, tell your grandkids about. But it certainly has changed.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I remember I got my marbles at Lay Street. I've lost my marbles
You've lost
now.
them somewhere.
I don't have them anymore.
I've lost my marbles too.
Somebody here online saying that they had read in some old newspapers that at the old courthouse they removed the trees to keep the country folks from gathering on the lawn. That's too bad.
Well, and then tying up their horses and their sheep.
Well, over in Dayton, around their courthouse still looks the same, and that's where they have their farmers market, and it's just a different atmosphere.
A lot bigger yard. I mean, square there they have it on. Well, thank you, Brenda.
Brenda, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Call us back.
Nice talking to you all. Maybe I'll think of what else I was going to say.
Well, call us back. We'll try to keep the button punched.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
And if you know why they had the Amigo Days, give us a call here at 614-5553. A friend of ours just come in the studio, Doyle Palmer. How you doing this morning, Doyle? Let me turn your mic on.
Doing great. After the 4th, all those fireworks, they just about shook me out of the bed.
I think
in my community last night around midnight.
Oh, well, I tell you, we were out towards White Oak Valley, and we could see back towards your house, so there was a lot of fireworks down through that valley.
Yes, there was.
A lot of them. Good morning, you live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron.
Hey.
I'm going to tell you something. We need the stores back open when I feel about it.
Yeah, I know, and it's hard on the people. It's so expensive to open up a store and maintain it and stuff, and you just got to have the business. And we all forget to shop with them, and they have to go out of business.
I remember your daddy, my mom, all of us would gather up our Vaughn's Grocery, and we'd talk for hours.
Well, that was, that's kind of what Brenda was saying, is that, when we went, I always called it Tip Top. When we went to Tip Top, even after you got your groceries, you'd stand around in the parking lot, and that's where you'd see family and friends. And
remember seeing you when you were little.
Yeah, well, you could pretty much park there at where the First Street Park is now. And within walking distance of a couple of blocks, you could buy just most anything you needed. It was a lot smaller space than what Walmart is. But you could still buy everything you needed. You could get tires and batteries there at the old Tasco store. You could get dry cleaning done if you needed that done. You could buy groceries at Tip Top and get you a hamburger out the back at Beecher's. And there was just everything right there within walking distance.
Kids, families used to let their kids go to town by themselves and everything.
Well, I used to walk from Bradley High School all the way down to 5 Points to meet my parents on Friday afternoon, and they didn't think a thing about it. By myself or in the company of somebody else, we just walked.
Yeah, I wish it was like that now.
Yeah, but it's not.
Oh, it's totally different now. You go to Walmart.
You go to Walmart and look at all the strangely dressed people.
I need to ask you something off the hour at 12.
Okay, well, just call us back after we go off today at 12. Okay. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye.
Right. Well, Deb, it's top of the hour here now.
Let's pay some
bills. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. Got Doyle Palmer in here with us. We're talking about downtown Cleveland or anything you want to talk about today. When we get back,
don't know. We'll make it up.
Call us at 614-5553.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. Whoop FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
You need money overnight? Check into cash. Your time is tight. .com. Bank account's too low? Check into cash. So where do you go? .com. Do it online in a record time. It's the easy way to get money next day. Do a quick click from home at checkintocash.com. Just stay in the house, check into cash, and grab your mouse.com. Get your money online, check into cash, right on time.com. You can be sure it's secure from our bank straight to yours. Do a quick click from home at checkintocash.com. No time to get away, check into cash. You gotta stay home.com. Hey, that's okay, check into cash. You can do it alone.com. Any old time, do it online. Just stay in the house and grab your mouse. Do a quick click from home. Get your money overnight at the right website. Do a quick click from home. Go to checkintocash.com.
Wheeler Technologies has moved. Visit them at their new location at 490 Grove Avenue Southwest next to Bradley Rentals. Same great folks, same great service with a better location to serve you. Call Wheeler Technologies for voice, data, and security needs at 664-TECH. That's 664-8324. And remember, depend on Wheeler Technologies for the current time and temperature every day at 476-1111. Tennessee Alarm Contractor C1750.
Here's my rifle, this is my gun, fighting, this is for fun. That's my rifle, this is my gun. This is for fighting, this is for fun.
All of my friends that I loved yesterday have gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. The songbirds are singing, the dells seem to say have gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. Life here is lonely since they've gone before. Gone. They have gone home. Gone. They have gone home. The old weeping willow that stands by the door sadly sighs. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as their work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home.
We're back. We always play "Gone Home" for all those people who have lost family members or members in our community has passed on, and that's always in their honor. Today we're talking about downtown Cleveland, and we got Doyle Palmer's come in here and joined us. And Doyle, you wanted to talk
He's
about?
a lot better looking than Bob White anyway.
Oh gosh, yeah. But you were talking about what store did you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about Cook's Food Store. I worked at Cook's for 2 years when I was a junior and senior in high school, and they were there on the square. And I brought a picture in of Mr. Cook and my dad. And as I looked at that picture a few days ago, I remembered Mr. Cook's trademark was he always wore the hat, and he had a white shirt and tie on.
Right.
Even in his later years, when he really didn't do that much work inside the store, he was the PR person. And Carl and J.D. Actually operated the store there when they were up on the square. And there was a home store on the corner there where the Bank of Cleveland is. And they took both sections of that for a little while after the home store closed. Mr. C.W. Hurst was the manager of the home store. And he used to come out and visit when we had community gatherings in the Moores community. But later on, Cook's moved to the Big Apple building. Back in those days, it was hard for a chain store to compete with the local merchants in Cleveland. And I don't remember how many years they were there, but they closed, and then Cook's moved there. And this picture was made in 1975, and you can look at it and see the older model vehicles parked alongside the building. And that other gentleman there is my dad. Mr. Cook and my dad were great friends. And when we went to Cook's, even in my younger years, to shop, my dad and Mr. Cook would stand around and talk while my mother did her shopping. And 2 or 3 things about Cook's. They had a delivery service, and they took phone calls. People called in their order, and Mrs. Cook and a Mrs. Heisinger and a Mrs. Rice worked and filled those orders. And Joe Talley, a lot of people remember Joe.
Mhm.
He ended his work life, I guess, as a politician and maybe a circuit court clerk in Cleveland. But he was the delivery guy. And he also, there was another fellow that worked there at Cook's. His name was Charlie Walton. And Charlie was, he was a black man, and he was well known and respected in the community and worked there for years. So on days when Joe was off, Charlie Walton would drive the delivery truck. And I remember at Thanksgiving and Christmas, when the orders were really heavy, they would let me go and ride with them and help them take the groceries in. And they had big metal trays that they packed the groceries in to deliver them. And then, of course, that was when they were on the square. I don't think they had a delivery service once they moved down to the Big Apple building.
I know. I remember as a young boy, that's where we shopped. We went in.
When you went in the front of the store, the vegetables were usually on the right. They had their checkouts up at the front, and the meat market was in the back of the store. And they had people working in the meat market that would fill your order. If you wanted 2 pounds of pork chops, they'd get you 2 pounds and wrap it and put the price on it, and you'd put it in your buggy and take it and
there used to be like, my dad worked as a butcher down at Stoney's Supermarket down there on Wildwood.
Yes.
And that's, they did a lot of that. They custom order, come in, and you wanted the steak this way or that way. And now it's just whatever Walmart has laying out in the aisle now is what you buy.
And boy, it was pretty amazing what we paid for ground chuck yesterday too.
Well, it's the cost of production now, the cost of everything that's associated with getting that package of meat to the store is just out of sight. And
well, I'm sure
that's what we're going to have to deal with in the future. Supply and demand. A lot of farmers have been put out of business out in the West because of the drought.
And of course, we just don't grow our own stuff anymore like we used to.
No.
Used to, you had to grow it to eat.
Oh, yes.
Now I grow it just to see if I can make something grow, just.
Yeah.
Well, and we eat it, but it's not enough to,
Well,
it's a meal at a time.
We can get through one day.
But
you remember Mr. Plank at Sturchey's?
Well, I remember him, and I heard you talking about him earlier, and he used to have a radio program on WBAC. He was a minister, and you wanted to know where he lived, but I really didn't know where
I'm thinking
he lived.
he lived over close to Magic Chef, because I know after Ron and I got married, we had a clock that tore up, and I remember taking it to a house over there close to Magic Chef that's been torn. The house has been torn down in the last
I know what you're talking about.
couple months. And I know a clock guy lived there, and I assumed it was Reverend Plank, but I don't know. Somebody can help me. I'm sure.
I have a picture of him and a couple of other boys in WBAC.
I hear that.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yes, good morning. My name is Beverly Johnson.
Hey, Beverly.
Hello. I'm really enjoying the program this morning because as a little girl, all I remember is uptown. We used to go to town once a week on Friday nights. My dad always went to Cook's food store and got the groceries that my mom had her list. And Mom and my sister and myself, we always went to town. But let me tell you about Sturgis, what I remember about Sturgis Brothers. Bob White was always the man that would wait on us. And, well, Lord, my mom bought so much furniture from Sturgis Brothers. But does anyone remember in the very back of the store, they had like an elevator? It was like a boxed-in thing that you got in, and it took you up to the second floor.
No, I don't remember going to the second floor.
You don't remember that? Oh, I do. But when I was a teenager, there was this white bedroom suit that sat in the very front window. Had a canopy on it. Well, my mother ended up and bought that for me. Oh, it had the desk with it, the chair, it had everything. Oh, it was so nice. But I had a white canopy bedroom suit. And then, talking about Omar Plank, I remember him in there. He repaired the watches. And every watch that my dad had to have repaired, well, Omar Plank did it. But I remember him, remember Bob White, and there was another salesman, I believe it P.D. Engle, or anyway, whoever the man was.
That sounds right. Does that sound right to you, Doyle?
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know Doyle Palmer, because I'm one of the Morrow girls. He's known us ever since we was little. My dad was a retired preacher. Of course, he's dead now, but...
Yes, anyway. Nelson Morrow.
Yeah, yes. Used to come out to your church a whole lot.
Yes.
Now, did Victor Hicks's grandfather work at Sturgis? What was his name?
Whose grandfather?
Victor Hicks.
Oh, Taylor Hicks. There was a Taylor Hicks used to work in...
That's either his great-grandfather or his grandfather.
His grandfather, I believe now.
Yeah.
I think he had a 40-year career there.
Yeah. Now, I knew Taylor Hicks all my life from Blue Springs School. That's where we went to school. But Taylor worked in there, yes. But anyway, that was such an amazing thing to go in that store and get in that box, scared to death. It was just a square thing, like with wire on it, and it just lifted you up to that second floor.
What was up on the second floor?
It's furniture.
More furniture. You know, I was saying earlier that the Sturgis brothers started their furniture stores in Knoxville, Tennessee. And at one time they were the largest chain furniture store in America.
I think they still have the old Sturgis buildings up there.
The Sturgis building in Knoxville now is Loft Apartments. So yeah, it's a big, very prominent family there in the Knoxville area.
Well, my mom sure did buy a lot of furniture from there. And then let me tell you about a picture. When Sturgis was going out of business in Cleveland, my mom bought my sister and myself an identical picture, and it is looks like it's probably about a 20 by 24 picture. It is of a girl sitting at a baby grand piano, and the girl's got a red dress on, and it just sweeps the floor, and this picture is so old. That's how, it goes way back. And it has a price tag on the back of it for $9.95.
Which was a lot of money then.
Probably was.
I have that same picture hanging in my front hallway.
But, I have taken so much care of this picture in all of our moving that we have done over the years. That's one picture I prize. And I want to pass it down to my granddaughters. But I just wonder, it has a signature on the bottom of it of who painted it. But my sister has one just like it, because we were piano players. But anyway, that was my memory. And then I loved to go down to Lay's, walk in Lay's and get that popcorn and look at all that candy, right there on the front. And also up at Woolworth's, same thing. We just shopped at all them stores down through there. And you talk about Davis Brothers and Draper and Darwin, and I can remember the old Belt store, or Miller's one that was there. Was up through there. And Harshbarger and Stratton. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Well, they had fancy stuff.
Oh, yes. And my in-laws bought my son a little suit and a little pair of cowboy boots in there when my son was just about 9 months old. And to this day, I still have that little suit, and those little cowboy boots are sitting in a curio cabinet.
That's great.
But it's just, wonderful memories, and how I wish that we still could go uptown and just do that, take our grandchildren and just have a good time. But that's some of my memories of uptown.
Did you ever eat at Grand Lunch or the Dooley's drugstore? Or?
No, we never was allowed to go anywhere to eat except the Spot, and that was to get us a Frosty.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty good.
And, of course, my parents were strict, and we wasn't even allowed to look in that pool hall.
Don't even look.
You had to look the other way as you walked by, didn't you?
No, you had to get dodge that place as much as you could.
I interviewed that was apparently a universal thing. I interviewed a young woman the other day, or a lady the other day, that was telling me her memories about Copper Hill. And her mom owned a restaurant there, and her grandfather was the doctor there. And so she would go all over town, but she knew exactly where she had to cross the street, so she could not walk in front of the pool hall.
Yeah, well, that were back in those days, but now it's different. But anyway, I just want you
Thank you, Beverly. We need to get you back on our show sometime.
We listen every Saturday.
Well, we appreciate you calling and appreciate you being a friend.
All right, bye-bye.
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 Okay, bye-bye.
Debbie Riggs here on lines telling me that Omar and Martha Grissom Plank is buried at the Johnston Cemetery in Meigs County. And she wants to use your picture for her book that she's writing about downtown. May she do that?
Hey, I've let anyone that wants to use that, and it was made in 1975. I didn't write that date on the back of it.
Yeah, you did.
Did I put it on
Yeah.
there? Okay.
He did a good job. He wrote where it was and who it is and what year it was.
Okay.
Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello?
Go
Good
ahead.
morning. Go ahead. You're live on the air.
Yes, my name's John Welch, and I'd like to tell you about my memories.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, John. We're glad you called us today. Go ahead.
Omar Plank lived on Georgetown Road.
Oh,
His wife
okay.
was my third grade school teacher.
Okay.
And you probably took your clock to Mr. Pelham's over for Wildwood.
Thank you. Okay. I just remember taking it over there.
Yeah. Cook's Food Store, before they moved, my dad worked for him as a delivery boy. And he and Roy Hicks, they had two of them at the time. And I worked there till I went in the military.
Now, was your dad a preacher?
Yes, he is.
Oh, he is. How old is your dad now?
My dad died in 2005.
Now,
John, was you a policeman also?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought that's who this was.
We just, when you call us, we just trace your family tree while you listen. I remember your dad, I believe, from Straw Hill Baptist Church.
Yes.
Yes, and he was there probably in the mid to early 60s. And then when I went to Cleveland State, he was the police officer out there.
He was there for
Security
guard.
Yep, yep.
And he stayed there till he had to have he had an accident out there and had to have an aneurysm.
Oh, wow.
And that ended his working days.
Mm-hmm. And what was your mother's name?
My mother's name was Margaret Howard.
Okay. And what was your dad's first name?
John, the same as mine.
John Welch. Okay.
Yeah, my mother's father ran a tile yard down next to what used to be the Little Pig. That was his business.
Next to the Little Pig, down on South Lee Highway. Now, what kind of tile work was that?
Road tile, septic tanks.
Oh, yeah.
And everything.
And his name was Howard. The last name was Howard?
W.C. Howard.
All right.
So, did you eat at the Spot?
Do I what?
Did you eat at the Spot and Dooley's Drugstore and Grand Lunch?
I did it, not at Dooley's. Well, I did a couple of times at Dooley's, but at Spot, that was my hangout while I was here before I went to the service.
Mm-hmm.
That's some good food, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know what the secret of that chili was never washing that pan for 40 years.
It might have been.
Well, you know, that crust of that chili was about 4 inches thick on top.
Yeah.
It was good, though.
We always talk about the spot. Some of the people that worked in there during my younger days was Chester Perkle and Lyman Pendergrass and Paul Carter. And I can remember them making those hamburgers, wrapping them, putting them in a bag, and throwing them to the front of the restaurant like a softball. And Chester or whoever was up at the cash register would catch them and sell them to the customer.
It was kind of like they wouldn't even look. He knew that it was coming, and he just kind of grabbed them. It's the Coke bottles sliding down the countertop.
I see him throw those Coke bottles, too. He'd throw those Coke bottles up there, and they'd get them. And
They had that Frosty machine in front, right inside the door. And that was always a treat.
I've had me a few of those.
Get one of those Frosties. Yeah. I heard you mentioned Otasco there a minute ago. Debbie, Mr. Lackey, Mr. Carl Lackey, operated Otasco, and I enjoyed going down and just talking with him. And I bought several pieces of sporting goods, hunting and fishing equipment from him. He had that in addition to his hardware.
Mrs. Lackey is still alive. And when we go to historical society meetings, she comes in. I believe she might be about 96 now. John, thank you so much for calling. Did you have anything else?
No, they was talking about Mr. Lackey.
Go ahead.
I bought my first weapon when I was on the police department from him.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have one when I got out of the military, and French Alford sent me over there to get it, to get one.
Well, I just remember Mrs. Lackey, even if you were buying something or if you were just looking, she was always nice to stop and talk to you. And I saw her 40 years later, and she said, "Oh, I remember you coming in my store," and she would tell me a story or two about my family. And I'm thinking, you know, when you're just going in there wandering around, you don't think anybody's noticing you, but they do.
John, you remember when you may have been in the military then, but some guy broke into the Otasco store down there. He broke the bottom part of the glass door out. He went inside, and when the police started coming, he decided he'd run back out. Well, the top part of the glass had now slid down to the bottom, and he dove through it, and he cut his main artery, and he sat there and bled to death out in the middle of Inman Street.
He ran, and it just bled him out. Yeah, that was. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's kind of one of those. Well, you know.
Was you back then?
No, I hadn't. I heard them talking about it, but I never. I didn't know about it. Firsthand.
That guy had some bad luck that day. I mean, everything, but
things didn't go his way that day. But that's too bad. But there's some crazy things. There was the bears downtown, and one of the bears broke into the what was it? Stampers.
Yeah.
Was Beatty shot it?
That was a different one. That
Leon
was the
Beatty?
one. No, Clayton.
No, not Clayton.
No.
Clayton's
Leon was the officer.
Yeah, Leon's the one that shot him up there.
Yes, Leon was the officer.
I remember Leon shooting the bear down there in 5 Point.
5 Point, yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't here when that happened at Otasco.
You know, that's kind of strange for a bear to be down that far, you know, away from, I mean, there wasn't any wooded areas anywhere close to that. Of course, the bears could travel quite a bit in a day.
Who was the chief when you worked at the police department?
The first chief was French Alford. Was the first person I worked for.
Uh-huh.
And the police commissioner then was John Hall.
John Hall, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Sure was.
I served under, I think, 3 of them, and then I left.
Was Bernard the last one?
Yes, sir, he was.
You know, Bernard was a friend of mine, but he was a different man. I can't repeat some of the stories he told me about his young days of being a law enforcement person.
Oh, Lord.
Do y'all see me shaking my head no?
Yeah, I can't tell those stories.
But, hey.
No, some of them you can't tell.
That's right.
We're all just glad we were young before the Internet was invented. Everybody puts everything on the Internet now. Well, thank you so much, John, for calling. Call us back anytime.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Bye-bye. Well, that's nice. We're getting callers we haven't heard from in a while or have never heard from.
Ron, there was 2 or 3 other businesses around town. Don't think I've heard people really mention these in the past or today even.
Hold on a second here. Let's get this call.
Okay.
Good morning. You live on Old Town Cleveland.
Morning, Ron.
Morning.
Hey, Neil.
Talking about the spot, I remember seeing what impressed me more than throwing the bags of food, just like the last caller said, was pitching the Coke bottles up front.
Yeah.
And I can remember, I don't remember which one was throwing and which one was catching.
Chester caught most of the time.
Okay, I can remember it just being one fluid motion. It just he'd catch it and set it up on the counter, just like he did that every day because he did.
He did.
It was good.
Dinner and a show.
Yeah. And then the Village Shopping Center there, of course, I remember when it opened, and it was within walking distance of where I lived, and you could go down there and have a big time. I remember Kohl's Drug Store. They had I think they were 29-cent chocolate malts. I think they were 29 cents. Could have been 19 cents. Anyway, they were affordable even for
And those were in those big, tall glasses.
Yes, I mean
which probably had 1,700 calories, but we didn't count calories back then.
No, and of course the Hobby Mart where you're at there now, and of course I'd build models and so forth. And Bill White was really a nice guy, and if he went in there as a kid, he didn't treat you as a kid. He would spend time with you. He'd advise you. He was just a nice guy. And the bowling alley, it was fun. I never did bowl much, but we'd go down there and shoot pool. There was some pool tables down there too. But you could have a good time down there, and it not cost you much. But enjoying the show always.
Thank you, Neil.
Always call.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. This
What'd
was
you
a
have
test to see how long you can keep stuff on your
What
mind.
was the 2 businesses you were going to talk about?
Well, I was thinking about some of the wholesale businesses we had around town. We had Jernigan. That was down around the 5 Point area. And we also had Renters, wholesale.
Where was that at?
And they might have been in 5 Point. I'm not sure about the exact location. But they delivered grocery products to the grocery stores mainly around town. Then later on, Carl Brooking had Brooking Wholesale up on North Ocoee or North Lee there. Probably between where the funeral home is and the Baptist Church, right in that.
Yeah, the building's torn down now, but
right
I remember that.
Right in that area. And back to Cooper's Bookstore, we bought our textbooks there when I was going to school. And then in the later years of it, Joe Tyner operated it, and he sold sporting goods out of there. And Joe helped us with our Dixie Youth program. He helped us get our baseballs at wholesale price.
Right.
And prior to that, Jernigan Wholesale helped the youth baseball, Dixie Youth, get the balls at wholesale price. And I can remember Mr. Brooking, we bought supplies for our concession stand out at Fulbright. And, of course, I was teaching and coaching at North Lee for a long time, and we had a popcorn machine, and we bought supplies from him for our popcorn machine.
Well, we did that a lot when the JCs. Carl was one of the first JCs, I think, one of the charter members. And as I got older, the JCs, we'd buy our popcorn and stuff from him, and he always really took good care of us. So, yeah.
Now, I have an old picture that has the drugstore, the pharmacy at 5 Points, of course, the underpass, and then right there was a gas station, and then there was a wholesale food place next to that gas station.
Well, that could have been Renters or Jernigan's. They were in that area.
Because I don't recall the family name, but I remember seeing wholesale suppliers, and it was actually a picture of the wholesale supplier, and I could catch a glimpse of the 5 Point Pharmacy, and then obviously there was a gas station there because you could see the gas pumps.
And also down there in the 5 Point area was Bradley Motor Company. They're just east of where the museum is.
Yes.
And Bradley Motors sold GM products.
Was that Mr. Renfro?
No, that was Hall. Eventually became Hall Chevrolet.
Later on, it became Hall Chevrolet. So I assume there was some. I don't know. There was.
I don't remember who owned Bradley, but they sold to Hall, and
well,
then
one
Hall.
of the Renfro's, Fro's daddy's dad owned it. So.
His dad owned the place where Village Tire is now. The I think.
Go ahead, caller.
Yes, this is BJ.
Hey, BJ, what's up, sister?
Well, I tried to call you when your phone wasn't working on Central Drugstore, but then Brenda beat me to that. But this, Jernigan's Wholesale Grocery was right there where you're talking about, right across from the 5 Point Farm.
Okay, so that was Jernigan's.
Jernigan's, because our grandfather, mother's father, was the office person there.
There you go.
Yeah, the bookkeeper and all of that. So that definitely was done.
See, everybody's always willing to fill in the empty parts. Thank you.
Fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank.
All righty then.
All right, well, thanks.
Bye-bye.
What about Ganaways? Did you used to go to Ganaways any?
I went to Ganaways some. They were at the foot of the post office hill, and they had a variety of farm supplies and probably had.
I remember the horse tack.
Yes, they had tack, harness. It was a big business.
Go ahead, caller.
This T Bandy.
Hey, T.
I was calling to let you know I had the fish truck coming next Saturday, July the 12th at 11 o'clock.
All right.
And I'll be singing at that Pleasant Grove Church tomorrow night, right down below your house.
Okay.
All righty, sounds good. Behind the Cleveland Speedway. What time does the singing start?
6 o'clock.
All righty. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. If you need to order fish, you can call him at 478-2405. If you don't get in an order, you can go by the co-op next Saturday morning, and they usually have extras for sale. What do people need to be putting in their ponds right now? Doyle?
Well, he will probably have crappie and bass and possibly some catfish.
He always has those grass carp, too.
Grass carp. People need to really be aware of the fact that the water temperatures are warming now, and if their water is not pretty deep, you don't want to overpopulate it, and they really need some shade.
And some oxygen, something in there creating oxygen.
Yes, they really do.
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
I'm going to fill in some blanks.
Okay, go ahead.
Renfro Motors, I first remember being located right beside where the medical center is now, just back towards town. That was the first location I remember. That's when it was a Studebaker dealership.
Okay.
Then they moved down by the Starview, and then we're next door to Starview for a long, long time. And they were more like a junkyard then. They had so many broke-down cars. People would come and, go through it, pilfering through them and take parts off. And he always kept a donkey out back, and we'd go down there, and we'd give the donkey a Coca-Cola and those orange peanut butter crackers, and when it was gone, he'd chase us. And you'd have to run and get up in the car, or you'd be scared to death of that donkey braying and everything. That was a lot of fun. And then later on, he moved way down on South Lee Highway, and I think that's when it all came to an end down there. And other thing I was going to mention is Kate Brothers uptown, kind of between Merchants Bank and the Spot. That's where I went to get my Converse high tops. And I get a brand new pair of Converse high tops, black, and I could jump 10 feet. I was Michael Jordan.
You might be exaggerating some.
I might be hyperbolizing just a little bit, but a brand new, I'm not kidding now, a brand new pair of tennis shoes with bottom soles. I mean, it's just the difference when you got in the gymnasium, the traction you could get, and you can make quick turns. And it was fantastic. Of course, they wore out real quick, and you'd have to buy another pair in about 6 weeks. But anyway,
Could you jump up and grab the backstop and climb up on top of it?
Never.
Okay, I didn't.
Never.
How much that pair of tennis shoes cost you?
Yeah, I could not remember.
$1.99, $2.99.
No, they were more up around $12 or $15.
Oh, okay. You were up in the high class shoes.
Yeah. Well, when you high class athlete, you got to buy high class. But anyway, that's just two things I wanted to call on about. I remember going in Abel's Hardware, and I had a scuba tank, and you go down in the basement, and they had a compressor that could fill up the air, quality air that you could actually breathe. It didn't have it was filtered. It didn't have oil in it or anything. And that was a big deal. It only cost about $5 to fill up a tank of air. And I went to Ganaways a lot. And that's about all I remember. Oh, one more thing I want to tell you about the spot that amazed me. You could get a milkshake in the spot, and they already had the vanilla ice cream dipped out in those stainless steel Real Talk glasses or whatever you call it, to stick in the blender. I mean, they already had half the work done. So right now you go somewhere and order a milkshake, and you're going to wait at least 10 minutes. You go in there, and they have it sitting in front of you in 10 seconds. And that's no exaggeration.
I always used to like to go in there and order a cheeseburger, and apparently they just look at me and say, he's going to need another one. And you say, I need another cheeseburger, and they lay it down in front of you just almost instantly.
I remember going in there and watching the sweat drop off of Lyman Pendergrass's forehead down on the meat patties as they sizzle on the grill.
That's that flavor that we're talking about.
I ate them anyway.
Well, and do you agree that the chili pot was never washed?
Well, I've heard that, because it's never been cleaned and everything.
It was crusted over on the top.
It's still some of the best chili you ever eat.
Yeah, it was.
All you need to do is turn the heat on and boil it a little, and it'll be okay.
It'd be all right.
Those oyster crackers that they serve with it, those were great. And the spot, it wasn't so much about the food, which was good. It was about those guys that worked in there. They were masters. I asked young people about the spot, and they said, yeah, I know where it was. Well, if you didn't go in there and sit and be in amazement for about 30 minutes watching those guys serve people, I mean, that's what made the spot a different place. I brought guys home from college, spend the night with me, and all I'd talk about was, I'm going to take you to the spot. And they thought I was just bragging or something. I'd take them to the spot, and when they came out, their eyes would be swelled up. They said, that place is amazing. I said, I told you so. And it's just, those guys, they were masters. They worked so well together. And, well, that's all I got to say.
All right.
Doug, what I liked about the shakes, too, after they got that thing, they'd take that big metal thing and they'd pour you a glass of shake. Then they'd set that metal thing down there next to you, and you could pour some more out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, you get your money's worth.
Oh, yeah. And I'm saying, and that second part was it'd get a little bit more solid again. So, yeah, I remember those days.
Back then, they didn't have any tables. They had a counter and had stools, about 10 or 12 of them. And I've been in there when I'd possibly be sitting at the counter eating, and you'd look around, and there'd be 10 more people lined up along the wall waiting on someone to finish so they could get their spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right, well, I'm
Sounds good, Doug.
Bye-bye.
A couple other businesses that I remember on the northwest corner of the block where the old post office is presently.
Mm-hmm.
There was a R.H. Hawk plumbing business there, and by the side of it was the West Side Barbershop. And the West Side Barbershop had 4 or 5 chairs in there, and prime time on Fridays and Saturdays, they'd have a barber at each chair, and they really did the business. You could get a full deal for about 50 cents back then.
Was that sort of just put one size cutter on there and just shave it?
That was just a 2-minute deal. Just walk around there and and almost give you a burr with a clipper.
Yep.
And I remember Yank Matthews was probably the fastest guy in the house. He could give you a haircut in no time, and it looked okay. And I think later on, let's see, Clarence Ramsey, I believe, worked in there, and later on he went down and built a shop, and I believe he called his My Barber Shop.
Now, this wasn't any of hairstylist.
Oh, no.
These were just hair cutters.
These were just get your hair cut.
There you go.
Good
One size
morning.
fits all.
Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Mr. Palmer, was the West Side Barber Shop, did Thurman Melton work in there? Is that the same one?
I'm not positive on that. I didn't know all of the people that worked in there. I just remembered Yank and Mr. Sales, Mr. Ramsey, and I think he might have had a brother that worked. So I'm not familiar with the names of all the people that worked. I had a classmate, Darwin Matthews, that worked in there for a little while, and then he later went and worked in the Village barber shop.
Yeah. Now, when I was a child, I was taken to a barber shop. I think it was on Central Avenue at Broad Street, that corner right there. And Thurman Melton worked in there. And it's kind of the way you described it. It had like 4 chairs in there, 4 barbers going full time.
Oh yes, especially on Friday afternoons and Saturdays. During the week, it might have not been quite as busy, but it really was busy on Fridays and Saturdays. And it wasn't just a half a day either. I mean, they worked a long day on Saturday.
Was that the West Side Barber Shop there?
That was West Side. That was right behind the post office on the northwest corner of the block where the old post office is.
That's not the same one I'm talking about. Okay, now y'all talked about the Hobby Mart. Did you know that he opened up down in the Village? He was on Coy Street, 1 or 2 doors north of Max Pool Hall.
But there was a Hobby Arts or something up there. Mr. Holloway ran it. Is that right, Doyle?
I went in.
Raymond Holloway.
I'm talking about, and Mr. White was working the.
Well, he may have worked in that one.
In there working the store.
Yeah. I think I've seen a picture of it, and it's called, or an advertisement for it, and I believe it was the Hobby Arts instead of the Mart. And then
later they had the Art Mart.
Art Mart, maybe that's it.
Yeah, it was Art Mart.
Mm-hmm.
And another business that I used to go to as a child all the time was Western Auto. It was on Coy and I believe the corner of 2nd Street. And in earlier years, it had been located on Church and 2nd.
I don't know where that was myself. Of course, I wasn't a city boy, so I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, I used to ride bicycles up, and he sold bicycles there on O'Coy Street, and sometimes people would get upset about me riding on the sidewalk, and we were. And another place that you talk about going to Ganaway's and the smell of leather. Going to Howard Griffith's motorcycle shop on Church Street, and you can smell gunk. Gunk has a special aroma. I can remember it today. That's been 40 years ago.
Nothing like cleaning your motor with some gunk.
Yeah. All right, that's a good show.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you, Pat.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, you can call us here at 614-5553. We're talking about downtown Cleveland. I got Doyle Palmer in here with us, and if you remember anything about it, no one's called us and said they know why they had the Amigo days. So we may have to tell you here in a few minutes if you don't guess. Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Ron, my radio too loud?
No.
Okay. This Sid.
Okay.
Y'all was talking about old town Cleveland. Okay, you remember the Watsons that was over where Cameron's is at? I mean, you go past Cameron's and it runs into Emmett Street, and there's a Watson's right there on the corner.
I remember Watson's being on Wildwood Avenue.
No, this goes way back.
Well,
I don't remember that one, Sid.
It goes back when I was 8 or 9. Well, I'm 59.
You're pretty old.
Now, wait, Sid, where did you say it was?
At the corner of Inman and that road that goes out by Cameron's.
That's Galt.
Okay.
The Galt runs into dead ends into Wildwood then.
Okay. It was over where close, not where far from where Matador lives now. I mean, it was
It was past Beatty's Feed and Hardware going out. Wildwood.
He's saying it's over.
Well, you could go out Wildwood, but you have to bear off to your right now.
He's saying it's at Galt.
Well, now there on the corner, that was Don Scoggins had a grocery store right there.
No, that's long before that.
Long before that.
Okay. Well, maybe somebody else. I know that the Watsons were in the grocery store business for a number of years.
I buy groceries there for probably 2 years and had a work permit, and I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I buy groceries and help my brother put up stock and work for Jerry Watson and work for Johnny Watson. And I think Jerry was the manager. And I don't know if Johnny owned it. I'm not sure. But they liked me anyway because I was Dennis Max's brother. And he was actually the stock manager. I mean, in other words, he put up the stock, and then I'd go help him when I was caught up.
Did they like you, or did they just put up with you?
Oh, they liked me.
Oh, okay.
So he talked me into going to my brother, switched to Tips Supermarket down past 5 Point.
Yeah, where Cleveland Billiards is now.
Yep. And then some kind of barn used to be there before that. Yes. Okay, I worked there for many years when I was a kid. And I'd walk from Allen School, and I'd walk from Allen School the evening and work there till closing time, go back in and made straight A's all the way through. And still worked.
Well, that's what kids did then, is that they worked.
Yep.
Well,
anyway, I was talking about these places. See, I was born and raised in Cleveland. And I know I moved to Polk County out for a while, but it's just because my ex-old lady wanted to live, in between her mother and daddy's house and my mother and daddy's house, which was down in Tinga. So I moved to the end of Ladd Springs Road, and then when I got a divorce, everything changed. But anyway, I was married for 25 years, so that's something, it's unreconcilable differences.
That just proves there's somebody for everybody, isn't there?
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to tell you about me working at them, and then there was a Simmons IGA.
Oh, I don't remember that. Where was that?
Okay. That was 3 Point. 3 Points, I guess.
Okay.
You might call it 3 Point.
Yeah, I know where you're talking about.
Simmons IGA. I went to work for Mr. Simmons for a while because he pulled away from Tips Supermarket.
Yeah.
Started his own store there. And he asked me did I want to come to work for him. Said he'd give me more money. Oh, yes.
Always a good reason to go.
Well, I went to school, too. Anyway, I worked at all these little grocery stores around that area and buying groceries. And and putting up stock. And man, I've seen some things go on in grocery stores that you would never. I ain't gonna tell about them on the air. And but I can tell you some things about Old Town Cleveland that would blow you.
All right, Sid. Thanks for calling, bud.
Thanks, Sid. Bye-bye.
Okay.
I'm kind of noticing that a lot of businesses that Sid worked at went out of business.
Yeah. Well,
I was seeing a pattern there. Weren't you doing?
Yeah. I think Watson's had 2 supermarkets at one time.
If not
they,
more, yeah.
They had the one on Wildwood, and then they had one up on North Lee. And I think Mr. Austin Watson might have had a grocery store there on Inman Street.
Let me ask you this, Dole, while I'm thinking about it. Was Earl's Restaurant on Wildwood located where Watson's then built?
It probably was.
I think it was.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, call you live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, this is Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
I could tell you a ton of stuff about Watson's, but that would be a whole entirely different show. So
we may have to do that sometime.
That's where my husband and I actually met. But I called this morning because all the shows you've done on downtown Cleveland that I have heard, I do not think you have ever mentioned the Teenage Shop or any of the other dress shops.
Well, was the Tots to Teens is what I called it. Was it the same as Pendergrass's?
No.
Okay. See, I didn't get to shop there, so I don't remember. I just remember walking by, like over there close to Earl's. There was one of them over there.
Mm-hmm. The Teenage Shop was where, on Broad Street, I think where Raspberries is now. And,
okay.
Anyway.
Which is next door to Gardner's?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's one of the places that my mother, she's out of town, and I can't even remember. The lady who helped raise my mother, she had a friend who owned the place, so a lot of my mom's clothes were from there. And I don't remember as much about town as everybody else does, but because town was kind of dying as I was a small child. But Ella would take me in there. She would go in to visit her friends, and I remember there being each wall, and this seemed to be the way, I think my aunt worked at Cato, at one time that was downtown, and then Bledsoe's on Ocoee Street. You would go in, and there would be a wall of clothes to your left, a wall of clothes to your right, and they always seem to have like underwear and everything down the center aisles, and then the cash register right there. But I just have vague memories of all these stores. So one day, rather than talking about all of the places to eat, you need to just get all the people who bought their clothes downtown and do a dress shop show.
I've heard some wild stories about how you got measured at some of those stores.
Well, I don't know about that.
But, you know, I always remember just the weird smell because they would put stuff in that heavy plastic.
Yes.
And it was just always an overwhelming smell to me.
I remember a box smell because so many things, I think hosiery and underwear and everything, you bought in a box. And I remember that musty box smell from all these places. So it wasn't exactly the perfume counter like at Belk's or Miller's or something where everything smelled good. Yeah, it kind of always had an old smell, but I'm going to get off here. I just wanted to briefly mention that, and maybe one day you can get a bunch of people to call in about all the dress shops. Because
well, one day I need to get your daddy on here.
Well, I know.
We're going to have to tie him down.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So, y'all have a great day.
Bye-bye. Her dad's George Poe, and he's one of those guys that every time I see him, he has a great story for me, but every time we try to get him on the show, we have a conflict. We don't have a conflict. We have a conflict with our schedule.
Yes.
Well, Doyle, got anything to close out the show with here today?
Well, there was one other thing I've mentioned previously, I guess, but there on Ocoee Street, there's probably some dumpsters around the building right now, but there was a little building there that was office and a cashier for the Spur gas station. And over by the side of that building, they had a display case, and it showed different kinds of glassware. And if you went in and bought 10 gallon of gasoline, you could go over there and select from a certain display. And I know that's one way that my family accumulated some glassware in our house. And, of course, we got a few things out of some Quaker Oat boxes.
And I had Bama jelly jars. I thought that everybody drunk out of Bama jelly jars. That's the only thing I had.
We still got some of those. They made those tough.
Yes. But anyway, there's lots and lots of history, and I wish more people would write your telephone number down and call this program on Saturday morning and just relay some of their memories and stories to us so it can become a record. We have a lot of people in the 70 to 80-year-old category that just have a lot of information, and I hate to see it lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me ask Dole a quick question here.
Sure.
Dole, were you around when they took down the old courthouse? Do you have any memories of that?
I just remember the old courthouse, and it's sad that that's not our museum now. It had a border around it, and a lot of activities took place around that border, and I just vaguely remember when they tore it down.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a sad day, but back then we didn't think about preserving history maybe as much as we do now.
Well, it's just harder to preserve an old building than to build a new one, and it probably didn't quite have the modern plumbing that it needed to have, and it definitely didn't have the modern electricity in it, and had not been maintained.
But you can retrofit those things.
We've got some really nice buildings around that were saved.
Saved it as a museum, as you said, or like they've done it in, several. I know a lot of Georgia towns have that. Folks, that's been Old Town Cleveland this week.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot for coming in today. As always, we tell people to get those pictures from out from under the bed, now the shoe boxes, and write some names on the back of them, and share them with people, let people see them. Interview your mom, your dad, your grandparents, the neighbors in your area. You'll never know what you're going to find, and the history will be saved. Every day that we have a funeral, we lose a little history here. We'll always remember about Pearl Harbor, Deb.
But will we remember Aunt Pearl?
All right, folks, we'll see you here next week on Old Town Cleveland.
Okay, thanks.
Are you looking for the best beer and cigarette prices in Bradley County? Well, look no further than Tom's Fuel Mart. That's right, look for the red and yellow signs. 25 feet from the street, 4 locations in Cleveland to serve you. At Tom's Fuel Mart number 4, that's right there near the Cleveland Speedway. You get the best homemade biscuits, sandwiches, and that includes the best fried bologna sandwiches in town. Just ask the Matador. That's right, Tom's Fuel and Mart, where you can find 100% gasoline. That means no ethanol, folks, for your lawnmowers and small engines. Do it. With locations on South Lee Highway, Wildwood, and North Ocoee, Tom's Fuel Mart, with the red and yellow sign 25 feet from the street, is ready to serve you. Yeehaw!
And check out Tom's new Orbit Express, I-75 Paul Huff Parkway.
Shopping mall. Ooh, where'd the old town go? Did my hometown get old, or just me? Did all my friends get old, or just me? Are they all gonna have to be told, or just me?
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. Whoop FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
You need money over